Right, we are back. Hello. I need to get better at doing these intros. Right, let's get back into it, shall we? Nice to see you all. We're back on Cozy Game Development. For anyone who's in the Discord server or who's been following along with the streams for the past week and a bit, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know, when did I start? It was just before Easter, I think, 28th. But yeah, anyone who's been following along, we've been working on a save system for the past 3 streams. And yeah, we now have a working save system for the most part, and there's a lot of stuff that I've done in this, a lot of stuff that I want to cover to do with how I've implemented this, but just to like demonstrate for people, hopefully this actually works. It did good. That error is errors with my custom thing. For some reason, if I click and drag quick enough on my bucket, it drops water, which it shouldn't do. So I might have to figure something out there to make sure it doesn't drop water while it's dragging. But I can move my things around, I can get everything where it was, I can hit the load button and it will bring back everything that was there before. I can also like take stuff, move it around. He's going to keep sliding. I can hit save, move stuff again, maybe buy some more things, hit load, boom, everything's as it should be. We got the right amount of money, so we're in a good position there. It's good, it's good. Must have been raining, yeah, probably. Barnacle, hello, welcome. I'm about to go on a spiel about Odin and how it's helped the save system as promised, so stay tuned. Right, so let's actually talk about how I've implemented the save system, because start again. We got most of the way there on the stream yesterday. There was just a little tiny change that I wanted to make, and it somewhat ties in with this Odin inspector, which, as you can see, is throwing a load of errors at the moment because I don't have a head selected. There isn't even a line on line 59. Where is that error coming from? Line 62, there we go. Let's have a look at that. Selected equals menu tree dot selection. I guess if we don't have anything selected, it's going to complain. So let's just do a return here real quick. Back again on the other account. Nice. Did your account just like fail in the middle of while you were watching and you had to switch over, or are you just watching us both? Real quick, I just need to do one last thing, which is line 39 here. Yes, let's just do a quick check around this to say if selected data type is not equal to null. We'll add some stuff to the tree, otherwise we do nothing. Cool. No, this isn't Java, it's C#, but to be fair, you know, C# was made by Microsoft as a response to Java, and it's designed to work in the same domain space that is enterprise web applications, so it's very similar both syntactically and capability-wise. I think they divulged a fair bit with the introduction of things like forms, Windows Forms, desktop and things like that. But yeah, in terms of general capabilities, the link system.link package is basically identical to the Stream API in Java. Again, syntax is very much the same in terms of like curly brackets, where you name methods. Just everything is pretty similar, which is cool. Okay, I think I've fixed any errors that I had with my system over here. So we're gonna take a minute to talk about it and actually break down what I did for the save system. So we are using close this tab here. Where am I going? Was it under MISC? Game management, there we go, save management, and we've got our save manager. So the save manager is making use of this data contract serializer, which, as in last stream, oops, that's not what I want to do. I want to look at the data service. As we went over last stream, this file data service is just handling all of our methods for like how we actually save using this contract serializer. So actually writing to the file system and reading from the file system as well, getting a list of all the save files that we have, because I want to be able to let the player have multiple saves, deleting files, deleting all of our save files as well, nice and easy. Or, well, relatively generic. There's nothing, everything in here basically is boilerplate, with the exception of like logging out warnings for if we don't want to overwrite stuff, and setting some path for where we want to save files and what the name of that file is going to be, or the extension of that file is going to be. And it's kind of similar in the save manager itself as well. We're literally just calling to our file data service to save and load files with different save names. So there's nothing fancy going on there. The fancy stuff actually happens with the data itself, and that's usually where stuff gets more difficult. So yesterday we set up this object, world object data, which has the data contract attribute, along with some data members for a ID for the prefab that world object is using, and a data member for a list of all of its applicable save data as well, which is an abstract class we've created also with the data contract label. What the data contract attribute does is assign the class as being serializable by a data contract serializer, and it means that in the XML that the serializer creates, it will basically create us an XML object which is named after this class type, and can then serialize and store all of this data, but also be able to do it in the other direction, right? So we can read in that XML file, convert the data in that file back into a class of this type, and then do what we need to do with the data. So in terms of how I'm then actually doing the saving and loading, what I've had to do, just to keep life simple, is make it basically so that any data that we have that needs to be instantiated, or any dynamic objects, so not dynamic data, but dynamic objects, game objects that would be instantiated at runtime and not there from the get-go, or anything that I want to be dynamic, basically, I am creating at runtime if it can't be represented in an existing data structure, like the tile map in Unity, where I can just set a tile type to a given ID. For actually creating objects, I have to instantiate them and then write the data back onto them. So the easiest way for me to do that is just make it so that everything that is an object in the scene can be instantiated and written back over, which could get inefficient, but I think there's solutions for that with, you know, limiting how many objects the player can have in the scene, maybe also introducing some other things like a grid system, so that we can just track IDs for stuff that doesn't need to hold complex data. So things like the tile itself, or the surface on which the player can place their objects. We'll replace this with a tile map eventually, so you can add like ponds and stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the way that everything's working. We're just having anything that has complex data that needs to be saved for the player on a game object that the player can change is being instantiated from the get-go, rather than existing like before the play button is pressed, and we just create it all from whatever data is in the save file. So to do that, what the approach I opted to take is I've created this world object scriptable object, world object SO class, which has a create asset menu at the moment, but something we're going to do in this stream is get rid of that so that we can have different types of world objects. And this has an ID, which is applicable specifically to the scriptable object. It's got a method for assigning that ID, and then it's also got a string for the name of the object and a prefab, savable prefab, which is the prefab that we want to use for that object. And the savable prefab is much the same as it was in the last stream. The only difference now is that we're not writing this prefab ID to a default value, or well, we are, but we're making it empty, and then we're giving it a setter so that we can set it to something else. Because I don't want to do that on the prefab itself. Things can get quite messy, especially when we make instances. If we then set the prefab ID on the instance and it divulges from whatever the actual ID of the prefab is, things are going to get screwy. So rather than having a load of prefabs that we instantiate directly, we have this now, this wrapper scriptable object effectively, which I've then replaced in the database. So our prefab database, which is now a world object database, will update the file name for that as well. We're saving all of these scriptable objects from the resources into our world object scriptable object database. And then if I pass in an ID, we just return that scriptable object. And obviously that then also allows us to pull the prefab object from that as well, which is much nicer, because it means that when we go to grab something from the database, we are just pulling data rather than an object. So we can use this in like UI, we can use this in lots of different places that doesn't need to be tied to a mono behavior, which is fantastic. And then for the actual saving and loading, it's almost bang on what we had at the end of last stream. If I pop open my game manager, because that's why we're doing it, I've taken everything out of the application quit and moved it to its own method called save current data. This was so that I can use these two buttons, save and load, to trigger this functionality. So yeah, we're just grabbing all of the objects in the scene that are a savable prefab, creating a new save data on our current data, which is the save data array is a list of world object data objects, and then for every savable object in that array, so all of the savable prefabs in the scene, we create some new world object data where the prefab ID is that savable object's prefab ID, and the object data is a new object data. And then we can iterate over every savable instance that's attached to that object and its children, but most likely just that object. We'll discuss that again in a second when we get to saving flowers. And then we capture the state of that savable and add it to our object data list. And that's it. Then we can just add that whole world object data to our save data list, update the currency in the save data, and then save the current data through the save manager as before. Loading is basically the inverse of that. Yawns again. We have this method create saved objects. If we don't have any saved data, we just create some default starting objects, which this is a dictionary that I've got mapping a world object to a position. I think realistically we probably want to switch these around so that we can have multiple of the same object but at different positions. But this is now just using the world object, scriptable object, instead of a prefab, because, you know, much easier. And then we literally just go ahead, yeah, if there's nothing in there, we create those starting objects. Otherwise, iterate over every world object in our current save data, instantiate it, set the prefab ID for that to be equal to the prefab ID that we've got in our save data, and then again for every savable component on that object, we restore the state where the type of that component is the same. Sounds kind of complex, but trust, it's not that bad. It took a minute to get there, though, I will say that much, and there's definitely a lot of improvements that we'll need to make in terms of centralizing this creation, because now anytime we want to instantiate one of these objects, we also need to make sure that we're setting the prefab ID, and ideally we want to have this be in just a single location. So what I think I'd actually like to do for that is, if we go onto our world object database, I'm going to create another public static void, or maybe a bool. Let's make a public static bool, try create world object at position. Actually, no, we're going to call it try create world object with ID. And in this, we're going to pass in a vector3 position, which by default can be equal to vector3.0. Oh, it's not going to let me do that, is it? Can I set it to new 0, 0, 0? No, it's got to be some private static read only default object option object spawn position equals vector2 3.0. There we go. Is it going to let me assign that there? No, it's not going to let me do that either. Okay, so I can't have a default value for this position, unfortunately. That works, that works. And then we also want to pass in a serializable GUID for our ID. And my cat is back. He's been in a bush. He's got grass all over his face. Right, so we've got our ID passed in here. Oh, let's get these switched around. There we go. So first things first, we want to say if world object so object data equals get object data by ID is not equal to null. Am I allowed to do that, or do I have to define the world object data up here? Yeah, there we go. So if it's, well, actually, maybe we can just say if it's equal to null, we just return false. Reason being, we found no prefab with that ID in the database, so therefore we failed to create the object. Otherwise, something that I also need to do, let's pass in a game object creator, because then I would want to say creator, creator.instantiate wait, mono behavior. There we go. Instantiate. And we can create object data dot object prefab at position quaternion dot identity. Can I not do that? Cannot be accessed with an instance reference. Oh, qualified with a type name instead. What? What do you mean? What does this mean? Let me pull this up here. Oh, okay, cool. So I don't even need to pass in the creator. That's helpful. Great. Great. So we create our new object, and then we want to say obj dot set prefab ID to our object data dot prefab, or ID even, return true. And maybe we want to out savable prefab obj. Which means, of course, we have to say object equals null in the first instance because we've got nothing there, and it has to have a value. Cool. So that now gives us a centralized way to create these objects, which is nice, and that's going to save me a lot of butt hurt down the line. So I'm actually going to go through and just replace all of our places where we're doing something manually, and we're going to do world object database dot try create world object with ID. We want the ID to be the kv pair dot and it's the key dot ID, and we're going to out savable prefab object, or well, yeah, savable prefab. Do I have to call it obj? No. Okay. I need to reorder my operands. Back into here. Let's grab our this one. Plonk it in there. Save. Back to our game manager. Fantastic. No issues. We can discard this because we don't actually need it. And then up on this one, we do need it because we want to grab a new object. So we're going to say world object database dot try create with ID. The ID is going to be world object dot prefab ID, and we're going to out savable prefab new object. And you know what? I'm going to rename that to loaded object because that's more accurate. And I'm actually going to rename this to stateful behavior as well, because that feels more descriptive of what we got. Sweet, 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 sweet. And then the other place where we're doing some stuff like this is over in our UI on our purchase buttons. We want to not do this. We want to instead do world object database.try_create_object_id, pass in the ID of the purchase data dot purchase object dot ID. And we can discard because we don't need it. I've also just realized back over here when I'm creating my objects, I do want to pass in a position for world object dot wait, no I don't. We're going to create it and then it's going to get put into position by its position data. Cool. So let's hit the play button and then we can talk about Odin, because we're going to have to do some more Odin-y stuff for what I'm planning. Good, everything still works as it should. Move these over here. Let's hit save. Move some stuff back in random places. Let's buy some more seeds. Maybe move one of these seeds like over here or something. Load. Amazing. All good. So let's talk about Odin, shall we? I've used the Odin tool. So for anyone who doesn't know, Odin is a plugin for Unity which makes like custom editor scripting and just extending the Unity editor like so much easier, just on like a really low simple level. It gives you the ability to serialize dictionaries and other usually non-serializable data types in the Unity inspector, which is super helpful for if you want to be able to like change a dictionary in the inspector. So there's stuff like that. There's things like custom buttons that call functions, new validation, gubbins, attributes that check for if a parameter changes and then call some method respectively. There's loads in there, but more powerfully speaking, it's got loads of stuff to enable you to just build custom editors really easily. So one of the things that I've done here is create a custom editor for these world object scriptable objects. So rather than having to like go to, you know, my asset create game data world object and then put it in the right place under resources, object data, and wherever it needs to go there, and then assigning it a GUID and blah blah blah. I don't have to do any of that. I can just manage it all through this window. So I can select the type of world object SO, I can see all of the ones that exist and change data about them, but also I can use this create new object, give it a name, which I think I've already created all of the objects that I need for the time being, but yeah, you can stick it all in there and then hit this create button and it'll create it. Equally, we can use some utilities to assign a new GUID to any given object, delete an object from the database, and you know, I'll just let me pull this out real quick so it's actually on screen instead of being hidden down there behind my face and what would be the chat if my OBS decided to play ball, but it's not as per standard. But yeah, so this makes managing data way easier. I can see all of the info that I need. I think, you know, we can probably do some stuff to make this look even nicer, but we're not going to faff with it for now. So what I would like to do with this is add some functionality to it such that we can create different types of data and also have those managed, because then we can have them tie in with the UI, and we can also have things like flower data be better customizable, and hopefully decoupled from the visuals as well, because at the moment, I think saving information about our flowers is going to be a real pain, simply for the reason that if we actually take a look at the flower class itself, where am I going? Flower class. Da, 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 da. Let's just search for it. Yeah, so the flower itself is its own object, which we want to be able to have moving around in world space. But then we also have... We also have the dirt object, which is keeping track of a lot of these things. And what I don't want to do is have this flower as a savable prefab necessarily to then instantiate and go into the place. Although perhaps we could have that. You know what? Let's try it, because if I don't need to overthink things, I'm not going to overthink things. So let's import our data contract attribute and create ourselves a public class flower data, which is going to extend our savable data. What members are we going to need to have on this? Means this needs to be iSavable. So we want to know what the water value is, what the data is. I think that's probably it. I think that is probably it. It could be it. It might be more complex than that though, thinking about it. Let's try it. So we're going to have a data member. This is going to be our public int water value, and we'll have a data member public flower data SO data flower data. I have a feeling this is not going to serialize. I have a feeling it's not going to serialize, but we'll try it. Back in our save manager, let's add that back in there. Flower data, so that it knows that we can serialize and deserialize this type. So, right, I do this a lot when I'm thinking things through, where I go silent because I'm like trying to figure stuff out in my head. But the conflict that I've got at the moment is we can have a flower in two states. We can have it in a pot, so it's in some dirt, in which case the dirt has some state that it needs to save. Because it needs to know which flower is in it. I think there's maybe some other bits in there as well. What did I call it? Planting spot. Yeah, it probably needs to know what its potted flower is. let me demonstrate what we're looking at actually, because I think this should now save. So for capturing state, we are going to just return a new flower data where water value is equal to water value and data is equal to data. That's nice and easy. And then for restoring state, we'll say if data is not flower data, return. Realistically, we probably want to throw an error, but then we can just say, oh well, data equals, sorry, flower data equals flower data dot data, water value equals water value equals flower data dot water value, and then we can say if mature oh yeah, just do this. Flowerhead.setActive mature. Nice and simple. So I think our flowers should now be savable, but they're not going to work with pots. I think it would be good if I had an additional button to clear our saves, because things are going to end up looking like a mess. I'm going to put my bucket here. Also, I added this thing to the pot so I could see that it was saving rotation. We're going to get rid of that, don't worry. Good, we got a sunflower. So let's plonk some water in there. And I still can't get over how good the water feels to move. I think that's probably like the best part of the game. Just putting it out there. So we'll have a flower down here rotated like that. And then we will have another sunflower in there, which is not grown. I'm going to hit save. Object graph for type flower data SO contains cycles. Oh dear. I think that's because we're tracking a prefab in there, aren't we? It is because we're tracking a prefab in the flower data. And that prefab in itself is a flower. So we can't save it unless we, maybe do what it says. Add a tracked reference is reference. Can I use is reference in here? No, just is required. That's good to know about though. I have a feeling that probably is not going to fix my problem, and instead I need to think of a better way to separate the visuals from the data. Is that going to break things if I go back up to savable data and I say is reference is true? Is that gonna break some stuff for me? I have a feeling it might. We'll find out. Flower data must be instantiated using the script or create instance method. Why are we instantiating a flower data? And why are we trying to create a new mono behavior? Where has that happened? Hold up. Have I accidentally written new flower data SO instead of new flower data? No, we're making new flower data. Could be because of this, which is going to make life a little bit of a pain. Just a little bit of a pain, but still a pain nonetheless. Where's my save system? There it is. Hold that thought. Let me delete the save data that I've got, because I imagine that's probably where things are going wrong. If we take a look at this real quick, which I can't zoom into, annoyingly. I wonder, instead, if I open this with Visual Studio Code, that's probably going to be better. TUV, where's Visual Studio Code? Is it just called code? Nope. There it is. Flower shop. Okay, hold on. Move this here. Bear with me 1 second. I'm getting a phone call, which I need to take. Hold the phone. Hold on. I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call and it went on a little longer than I anticipated. Let me get my screen sorted back out again. So we were looking at the save data that I have just created. Hi, Minecraft Centrics. I need to try and oh well, not take phone calls while I'm streaming, but when they're important ones. Oh gosh, look at this. Okay, so this this is a problem. This is a problem. What we've got here is I think it looks like it's going through. It's grabbing the flower data. Can't hear my cat. I can't hear my cat. It's grabbing the flower data, which has a flower object, which has some flower data, which has a flower object, which has some data, etc, etc. So it's just saving this all the way down on test flower, which is actually the sunflower. I thought I died. No, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry. We're still here. We're still cooking. But we need to fix this. So let me just minimize Visual Studio Code real quick and in fact, actually, let me just close all of my open editors because I'm doing I'm making a Next.js note-taking application in there as well, which is what I was working on this morning, and I need to get my files sorted out. So I'm going to delete the flower shop save. You can't see me doing that, but I have done it, I promise. And where are we at? We are probably wanting to look at a way that we can save some flower data without saving the prefab, and I imagine the way to do it is going to be similar to what we've done over here, is if we just make this manageable data and assign it an ID, and then rather than pulling the flower itself, we can have like a database or add it to our database of things. Grab a flower data scriptable object from the database and then pull that instead of yeah, I think that probably makes a lot more sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and give ourselves a public serializable GUID ID, which is going to be get private set. We'll also have a public void assign new GUID, which is going to say ID equals serializable GUID.new. And then I might just keep this in here. I might rename this to flower game database. And then we can have another static dictionary mapping a serializable GUID to a flower data scriptable object. It's going to be our flower data database. And we'll do a similar thing to what we did before here. Flower data database equals new. Var flower datas equals resources dot load all flower data so, and then for each var flower data in flower datas, flower data database dot add flower data dot id flower data, like so. And then what we want to do is good, that's updated all of the things. We'll want to have some methods for getting that data. Prefab database, public static flower data so get flower data by ID, serializable GUID ID. And we're basically going to do exactly this, like that. No flower data with ID that could be found in the database. Cool. So then what we need to do is, like we said, in our flower, rather than saving flower data SO, let's save a serializable GUID flower data ID. And then this is going to be flower game database dot get flower data by ID flower data dot flower data ID. Set the flower data ID on our flower data to be that ID as well, and that is all good. And then what I'd like to do is update our data editor to actually be able to do all this stuff. So let's go back over to this world object data editor class. I'm going to change it to flower game data editor. But rename flower game data editor. We need to go back on our flower data and give it the manageable data attribute. And that way we'll get, theoretically, a menu. Oh, it failed to load. Why did you fail to load? Whoops. To rename the script so it matches. Although I don't think... Oh, that was the problem. Cool. So now we can look at world object and flower data, but flower data has nothing in there because we haven't set it up properly. But we are going to be looking underneath the resources directory. I think if I do that, it should be fine. And now we should see some flower data showing up in here. Yeah, look at that. Sunflower data, rose data. Perfect. And we can assign some new GUIDs to these. Oh. Object not set to reference flower game data object. Ooh. That is because I need to be a bit more fancy with how I'm doing my stuff in the editor. So that's fine. Build menu tree. Yeah, we want to create a new object, but we're going to make this generic eventually. Yeah, we need to do some stuff here for how we're handling our assign new GUID. I think probably what we need to do is make a like a database item scriptable object, which will be generic, not generic, abstract. And then we'll be able to just have these. Yeah, I think that should be all right. Let's do that. So we're going to make a public class database item scriptable object. This is going to be an abstract class. It is going to have a public serializable GUID ID, which is going to be a get protected set. And we're going to have a public void assign new GUID. ID equals serializable GUID.new. I think that's everything, isn't it? The rest is all specific. So then we can erase this from here, have this inherit from our database item so I do need to move that to a different script actually, because you can't have it in an editor script, unfortunately. Just create it under scripts for the time being. Database item so we don't need to create asset menu for this because we're not, oh gosh, there we go. We're not doing anything fancy. This is just for us to inherit from. And then we want to do the same with our world object SO. Then on our UI, as in our Flower Game Data Editor, we want to make sure we call the right thing, assign new GUID, and we don't want it to be a world object SO. We want it to be a database item. And then this can be generic, where T implements or inherits from database item SO. I suppose everything should have an item name, shouldn't it? And then up here, I mean, first things first, let's go ahead and assign this If it is null, we're going to return. So if we haven't got a selected data type, oh wait, no. No. Keep that as not null. And all we'll do is just move this out. So I think, what's the syntax? It's tree dot add. I think it's just tree dot add. And then we can even use some string selected data type dot name string interpolation. We're going to create world object. It's going to be, I'm going to move this down here to type of selected data type. Or can I just use selected data type in here because it is a type? It doesn't like it. Oh, here we go. Here's what we do. We'll have a public static create world object, get create object for type. And then we can have a type. Can I do that? No. But it is a type. Is there a way? Can I get a type for a generic at runtime? Oh, I have to use reflection. Ugh. I don't like reflection very much because I don't use it very often and I don't know much about it. Oh god. I think I'm gonna have to though, aren't I? I'm not gonna be able to get around this. Bums. Okay, alright, fine. We'll delve into the world of reflection. Right, I'm gonna have to do some reading. How to examine and instantiate generic types with reflection. Get an instance of type that represents the generic type. Yep, check. We have that. Use the isGenericType property to determine whether the type is generic. I don't need to do that because the type is not generic. Get an array that contains the generic type arguments using the getGenericArguments method. For each type argument, determine whether it is a type parameter or a type that has been specified for a type parameter. I don't think this is what I want to be doing, is it? reflection is so yucky. I feel like I'm diving down a rabbit hole, which I need to dive down, but I don't really want to dive down it because I don't wanna. I don't wanna. I mean, this is probably fine. I could just have a database item, not have it generic, because they're all going to be database items anyway. I can have this be generic. Wait. Oh no, that means I do need this to be generic. Okay, fine. How-tos. Generic types with reflection. I want to instantiate an instance of a generic type. Get a type object that represents the generic type. Okay, that's fine. Construct an array of the type arguments to substitute for the type parameters. That's also fine. Okay, let's pull this over here so that we can have it on the side while we're reading through, and I'm gonna have to sit up so that I can walk through this. So when we build the menu tree, this is going to be something. This is going to be something, but we'll get back to it. Let's say if we've got a selected type, we're going to have a type create object type. Oh, Yayap's back to save me. Don't think I need this. Can I show quickly what I need to instantiate in the create world object? Yes, I want to be able to have different types of I want to be able to create an instance of a different type of scriptable object which inherits from database item. So I don't want to create the database item itself because that's abstract. I want to be able to, you know, decide if I want to create a flower object or if I want to create a world object or whatever it ends up being, which I don't think I can unless I have a No. Maybe I could pass in a type here. No, because I've already established I can't use type in. I can't use a variable that is a type in this without using reflection, it seems. But it's fine. It's fine. I think probably that's more likely what I would want to do, is actually do the reflection bit down here. He says, go on, save me. Create world object, type, activator.create instance. Is that a thing? Sorry, I thought I heard a cat again. Can I pass in a type, item or data type? Yeah, data type. No. What is activator? Because I need it to be, I want to create an instance of a scriptable object. So that's the wrong type of create instance, I think. could pass in a string. Oof, I hate that. Oh, I hate that. I hate that, but it'll work. It'll work. Same thing again. Right, let's keep a cache. Private string database item type. Here we go, here we go. It's clicking, it's clicking. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. Can I do data type dot get type? Because I can't use, even though it is a type, I can't use the variable as a type. I have a feeling that casting it to database item SO is going to mean it creates the wrong thing. And we're going to end up in a world of hurt. I mean, we can find out. But I don't like it. I do not like it. Select a data type dot get type dot toString. Or do I do type dot name? Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, instance of runtime type couldn't be created because there's no script with that name. Do I get to know what the string is? Because I can't pass the types around. I don't think unless I'm being super stupid. Oh, I'm being super stupid. What? I'm being super stupid. Thank you. Thank you. So now up here, I can just pass in the selected data type. And that hopefully gives me what I need it to give me. My concern is that it's going to try to just create an instance of... Oh, beautiful. Okay, good, good. If I click here... Hey, amazing. Thank you so much. You're actually a legend. And now I can create a new world SO, I can create a new flower data, and everything is as it should be. Alright, get up on out of here, reflection. Now that we've got that, I guess I make my flower data, although I don't think I have to. I'm just going to assign a new GUID there and assign a new GUID there. I think everything else should already have GUIDs. I mean, there's only one way to find out. We have no save data. Let's save. Here's where we're going to start running into problems, or the problem that I wanted to demonstrate earlier with flowers not being able to save particularly nicely. Oh, okay. That's also not what's supposed to happen. You know, we move. Let's plant this flower and press save. And then do some stuff. Maybe we water it. Come here. Plonk. And 3. Pick it. Move it over here. We're going to rotate it. And I'm going to load. Flowers are busted. That was trying to grab the world object ID. Object not... Create saved objects, line 77. Yeah, for each stateful behavior in the iSaveable. Restore state. Wait, have I not... Flower is savable. Have I not given the flowers a savable prefab? That's likely the case. Nope, they've got savable prefab on them. Oh, of course. So now it's going to be looking for these actual physical objects in the world object database. So even though we've got flower data, we also want to go ahead and add some new ones in here. This is going to be our rows. I think I can get rid of object name now. And we need sunflower. I want to know why my position data is messed up. I think it's because when I'm creating the starting objects, I also need to pass through kvpair.value. Yeah, it's kvpair.value. Oh, of course, I moved them around. There we go. Okay, I think we're back. Oh my gosh, it's already 5:30. Not ideal. Good. Stuff creating at positions where we want it now. Let's plant this flower. I'm going to hit save. And you know what? I'm going to pick it and move some stuff about, and I'm going to hit load. Oh, and we're still getting errors with prefabs not having IDs. Let's pop open our flower shop. Save data. Can open with Visual Studio Code. Always open with this, because then I can minimize stuff. I've got a lot of world object data and none of it has names, so 4 things. We should have more than 4 things. We should probably save the the object name in this, shouldn't we? So it's a bit easier to figure out what's what. Here's our flower data. There's our flower data ID. Water value of 0. That was exactly correct. So it's saving right, it's just reading is having trouble. And I think also we need to... Let me make sure that's definitely the object. Yeah, it's the object. I want to get a... all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's definitely a better way for me to do that, but I can't be bothered read new. Make sure I can see chat as well. Okay, so now we can see what IDs we're missing. I'm going to once again delete the save data after I stop playing the game. Delete, delete, delete. No, not duplicate. Delete. Where's the delete button? There we go. And then let's just go in this. I'm going to just assign a new ID to everything. Good, 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 good. Gonna plant my flower. I'm gonna water it once. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna pick it, move it away, chuck some stuff about, and then I'm gonna load. No prefab with ID 0000. Oh, am I not setting? I'm not setting the ID somewhere. Why am I not setting the ID? Oh, I know where I'm not setting the ID. I know where I'm not setting the ID, and it's on my planting spot. When we instantiate the flower, we don't want to do this. We want to create an instance of the object. It's gonna get kind of messy, I think. So flower object is going to equal flower game database dot. Yeah, we're just going to do that, and it's going to be seed dot flower data dot flower oh, it's not even going to be that, is it? I could have the flower data have a reference to the serializable, the ID of the flower object that it's supposed to be spawning. Or I can just not be... not be saving the flower as a prefab, and instead having it be a thing in its own right. So if we've got saved flower data, but that's only getting saved because it's got a savable prefab on it. Hello, hello. Pretty good, I think. progressing nicely. Most of the saving and loading is working good. We have a nice little custom inspector for managing our flower data and world object data. Currently just trying to iron out some hiccups with actually saving and loading flowers, because at the moment they don't really save. They don't load anyway, because I'm not able to, the way that I've written it, I'm not able to save the ID of the flower to the flower for the object that it needs to spawn, which is crummy. And it's also like, I don't want to be having I don't want to have a flower tied to a prefab ID. I would like to be able to just spawn the object for it. So rather than actually let's do it like this. And this is, I'm going to need to do some thinking about how to re-architect. But rather than doing just this, I think we also need to but I need the flower to be instantiatable, because sometimes they're not in pots. Oh, God. Bruh, why am I like this? Why do I do this? Why do I do this? Perhaps we I don't know. No worries, Barnacle. Enjoy your programming class, and thank you. I'm gonna need all the luck I can get for sure. But I will catch you hopefully tomorrow. Have a good evening. Right, let me think about this, because I've got 20 minutes realistically before I'll need to wrap up. Time on these streams just flies, I tell you. I'm trying to think about how I can do this using the flower data scriptable object instead of the... Oh, wait. Perhaps, rather than a prefab ID, maybe we have a database item, because the database items are what have the ID on it, and then perhaps from that we can grab the right stuff. But no, that's not really what I want to do. Jeez. Yeah, no, I think the flower data needs to just have a reference to a serializable GUID instead of a flower object. So yeah, this is going to be a mess. A mess is the answer for what this is going to be. This is going to be a world object data, flower object data. And then over here, we can do flower game database dot try create world object with ID. seed.flower data dot flower object data dot prefab ID out. Then we could say potted flower equals flower object dot get component flower. There we go. There we go. There we go. We're back. We're back. This is going to be my sunflower. This is going to be my rose. Rose, rose, rose. Move that to bin. I think that we should be good there now. We should be good. We should be good. Plant the seed. I'm going to water it once. Save. Let's pick it. Load. Amazing. But that's the problem. It's no longer in the pot, which is exactly what I was expecting to be the case. Which, you know, raises the question, why have I spent so long trying to make it work if I knew it was going to be broken? And you make a very compelling argument. I honestly don't have an answer to that question, but I think it should be straightforward enough to try and get it to work. And I think it's going to be... It's going to be by having a two-way relationship between a flower and a pot. So on our flower, we could actually have a... No, because how am I going to know which pot it belongs to repot it there? I think probably the easiest way to do this is going to be to separate a world flower from a potted flower. Because then we can track how much, yeah, we can track the actual like water state of a pot on the pot itself. Flowers can exist completely separately to any of that because they shouldn't realistically care. And then it is just a case of like setting some data object for how things should look what can be a object, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's start doing that. 15 minutes. We can try and do this in record time. Let's go on to the seed planting spot. I'm going to make a data for it. Going to call it plant plot data, not plant pot. And that's going to inherit from savable data. This is going to have a data member for the serializable GUID of the flower data ID, potted flower data ID. Water level. I think that's probably it. That's all we need to save on this, really. And then we need this to be savable. Cool. And then we'll effectively separate some stuff out. So actually what I'm going to do, we're going to set the potted flower separately. I'm going to come back to that. What I would like to do is when we harvest, if our potted flower is mature, which we're not going to worry about, we're not going to enable some grabbableness on it. We are instead going to just create a new object, which is going to be whatever our stored flower data is. So let's keep a reference of that. We'll have a public flower data SO potted flower data. Whoops. Nice. We will output that to a flower object. Don't need to do this to make it grabbable. We can just do all of that. Don't need to worry about setting a parent. What we will need to do actually is destroy our held flower object. So yeah, actually we can do this regardless. Very nice. So I guess we could actually make a new class. Scripts. Yeah, I need to sort out my folders. I'm going to create a new C# script, and this is going to be potted plant. And the potted plant is going to be much the same as the normal plant, with the exception of it not having the savable object on it, and therefore it won't get saved. So I think as well, to be fair, actually, we don't need... Hold on. Brain cells are rubbing together. No, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. I don't need this to be savable because we're not tracking anything on it anymore. I don't care if it's mature or what its water value is. We won't... We'll do a check watered on here where we pass in a total water value. We can still do the spring animation, and we'll say if total water value is greater than or equal to flower data dot water cost, then we'll set it to true. Let's do that. Don't need to faff around with this because we're not saving anything on the flower anymore. Don't need to faff around with a new type. That's fine. So now on my plant plot, we're actually not going to have a flower anymore. We're going to have a potted plant. Actually, in fact, we can just have a flower, can't we? We don't need a potted plant. He says. Yeah, no, we can just do instantiate seed dot flower data dot plant. No. Right. We're still going to do flower game database. Create with object ID. Seed, flower data, flower object data ID, out var flower object, at our flower position transform dot position, Good. We're then going to say potted flower, whoops, dot remove component. Can I not remove component? Oh, I think it's just destroy, isn't it? I can destroy potted flower dot get component savable prefab. That should be an int, not an oopt. Water level. How did I learn coding for Unity? Practice. Basically, lots of trial and error. Reading documentations. I started out when I was with Unity when I was like 10 or 11, mainly with Bracky's tutorials, Sebastian Lake tutorials. Who was it that was also pretty big back then? Quill18 was one of them. Lots of video tutorials, just kind of like going through stuff and making small projects from there, which kind of got me an idea for what the general syntax of code is, or at least getting used to working with, you know, mono behaviors and the workflow of game objects in a scene with scripts on them. Then after that, a large amount of my non-Unity related learning was from getting my first job and doing my degree apprenticeship, which I started when I was 18. So that's six years ago. 6 years ago. And that was in Java. So again, similar syntax to C#, but it was more focused on just like actual code architecture and things. But yeah, really a lot of it is just learning how to read documentation, and how to kind of problem solve a little bit, which, you know, we can safely say that YAP is much better at problem solving than me at the moment, because they're coming in clutch with a lot of the changes that I've put in. But like, it's something that I've said a lot of times, and I will say it again, that don't necessarily worry about how specifically to code in Unity as it would be. Worry about learning how to solve problems, how to read documentation, and what generally should exist in an engine or a language, because then you can quite easily just wheedle your way into using any tool that you want, by having that skill set. Like when I was doing stuff with Godot, hadn't touched Godot before, picked it up, started doing things very quickly. It would probably be, I want to say it would be a similar story for Unreal, but I imagine it would be a bit harder because C# is a fair bit different. Not C#, C++ is a fair bit different and a fair bit more complex. But I know how to read documentation. I know how to kind of get into stuff with time and perseverance. I would be able to figure things out for sure. But that's kind of it. So when we harvest, we want to do a check if our water level is greater than or equal to our potted flower dot flower data dot water cost. Then we can harvest I think that should be it, right? That should be it. We're gonna just want to make sure that we also, when we handle an interaction for a flower, perhaps let's make a public void or private void pot plant. And that's going to take a flower plant to pot. And then we basically do all of this stuff. Like that. Potted flower equals plant to pot. Do this. Let's move this bit back up here. Not going to do that. What would my art style be if I started to make art on my own? Because I said my art for Tilelands was made by my girlfriend. Yes, that is true. To be fair, as far as art direction goes, I was fairly micromanaging with Tilelands in terms of like picking out the general aesthetic. I am a big fan of flat shaded, smooth, minimalist style visuals. I'm thinking of, I mean, you know, let's have a look at other games that I've made or have worked on the itch.io page. Because not my library, I want to go to my page. It's all very like my kind of vibe. Covalent, yeah, it's all kind of programmer arty, but like flat shaded, what I think are nice colors at least. Nightmare Daycare was a brilliant one to work on. Again, flat shaded, very kind of cutesy, almost like 2D looking 3D unlit shaders. I'm a big fan of the Sock Pop Collective, so I've got, you know, a fair bit of inspiration that I take from them. I don't have any pictures of the Great Christmas Toy Machine, unfortunately. Relic was a good sort of steer away from my usual style, kind of in the realms of your typical indie horror game with pixelated, dark, kind of dingy, scary ambience. That was a fun one. Did all the art for that. With the exception of a couple of Kenny assets, and Square Off as well, same kind of thing, simple, minimalistic, 2D, yeah, not too complex. The art style for this game specifically, I do plan on doing the art myself, and I've got a style in mind which I'd like to start working on this week. So perhaps that will be Thursday we start looking at that. If we get all of this like saving flowers wrapped up, then we can start walking through the process of like working with shaders and art, because that's another thing as well, shaders and all the rest of it. Oh yeah, let me on Miro, because we've got a Miro board for planning amongst our team, which Felix might abuse me for looking through because there's stuff all over the place. But one of the things that we did start doing again, which I'm on visual, I'm on the art direction side of, is for our next game, Circuit Assault, or one of our next games. There's an extra image there, but it's this was all actually something that we did in I did in a previous live stream like 3 weeks ago, which you can still watch on the channel, messing around with custom post-processing in the universal render pipeline. But like my whole deal is pretty like visually driven. When I think of a game idea, I don't think of the mechanics, I think of an image. And oftentimes that's quite frustrating because I'm not the greatest artist. Like I'm not very good at executing what I can see in my head quickly, which certainly makes developing ideas harder. But I'm getting more used to the idea of working with programmer art to start with, and then putting the graphics in afterwards and hiring out if I need to, either through freelance partnerships or just upskilling myself. But yeah, I'm a big fan of flat shaded minimalist styles, particularly sock pop. I am like, if I could steal specifically Timon's style and Rubner's style, their games are my favorite looking ones of all of the sock pop games. Kraken's Curse, Ollie and Bolly, Mistwood most recently, Similand. Yeah, just the colors, the color choices, and the general style of those guys' games specifically is really up my alley. Right, I think we're there with potting plants. It was just when we yeah, when we do the stuff up here, we still need to set the seed. So maybe we say var flower equals flower object dot get component flower, and then we can say flower dot flower data equals that. Destroy the seed object, and then pass in the flower, because we don't need to set the data down here. We just need to set the potted flower, destroy the savable prefab on it, probably also destroy the grabbable object on it, and then set the parent transform. And then likewise here, let's just delete all of that, ping it, and say pot plant flower. I think that should do it. And that's going to put us in a nice position to wrap things up for the day as well, if that all works. So everything is fine here. Everything is fine here. I have no save data. I press save in my Unity scene and I press play. I'm gonna plant this. I'm gonna water it. I'm gonna harvest it. We got a null. What's null? I mean, it's something on this line. It's going to be the potted flower data dot flower object. Or well, the potted flower data. Am I not setting potted flower data? Of course I'm not, because I'm a dingus. We want potted flower dot flower data. There we go. Now we should be there. Plant the flower. Get some water. That's so juicy. I love it. It's great. In the plant. Harvest the plant. Okay. Okay, let's plant another one. And I'm going to... Oh, I realise we haven't done any of the code for actually, like... I mean, it's doing exactly what I've told it to do. If I save and then, like, I don't know, just buy a bunch of rose seeds and move some stuff about and then load. Oh, we've got no prefab with ID. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some more fiddling. That's what I'll end up doing tomorrow morning, I imagine then. But I do have to leave because I've got to go cook dinner and tidy. So, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, join the Discord server. If you want to support the studio, there's a link in the description for Patreon and a link over the side of the screen for Buy Me a Coffee if you don't want to support on a regular basis and just want to do a one-off. I'll be back tomorrow as per, same time. I'll see you then. Cheers.